Two men get into an argument. The thing they are arguing over has little significance, unless, of course, it is from the perspective of each party involved. On one side of the argument, there is a deranged man, frantically going from point to point, while the other is doing what one could almost argue as an imitation act as a way to get his own point across, and a satirical mocking of what's being thrown at him. Each word said is a wound laid on the other's ego. Each insult is a blow to each's self-esteem. They berate each other with equally damaging words as the other, each coming together almost counteracting the other. In the same way, two semicircles form a loop and not two distinctive shapes. Time passes. The argument gets more aggressive. Emotions are being shown, including the anger, lighting the discussion as a candle would light a dark room, with shadows dancing over the great volume of junk and misconstrued ideas that lie present in this overcrowded field of rubbish. Eventually, it becomes too much for one of the men, who in an act of rage, with his ego in shambles, confidence sinking through the floor as if the scene took place in a puddle of quicksand, as if his opponent knew just the right thing to say to do the most damage possible. He throws his fist as hard as he could, for this would be the moment to take his control back. A loud crack shakes the room, almost as if the man had snapped 3 glow sticks at once. Glass shatters. Blood pools around his feet. Blood runs down his hands and fingers with glass shards impaled into the in-betweens and surfaces of every finger. Pain struck through his arm, and as the man came to realize what lay as the remains of a great battle of words were only the shards and pieces of his own mirror. If you ask someone, is failure a good thing? More times than not, their answer would most likely be no. But I'm here to argue that failure is an art. See, from my perspective, failure can be just as beautiful and artistic as the feeling of sadness can. For me, failure, as I said, is an art and not an outcome. The best example of this I can give are Foddian games. If you don't know, Foddian games are a genre of game where there's little to no checkpoints, and failure means going back to where you started.
Oh no, oh God, no!
The main games in this genre you've most likely heard of are Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy, which is where the genre's name originated, Pogo Stuck, Co-op, and Jump King. If you're a fan of Ludwig like I am, I'm sure you've seen the emotions these type of games can bring out of someone after long sessions.
What? No! What? Are you kidding me? 14 hours for that?
Imagine you've slowly been progressing, slowly crept your way up the mountain after hours and hours, maybe even days. You go to continue your way up and you're now back exactly where you started, only to have to make this journey once more, all while being belittled by a voice narrating your misfortune. In this video, I'm going to be mostly discussing 2 games in the genre, Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy and Baby Steps. If you didn't see your favorite Foddian game in this video, leave a comment down below and I may make an entirely separate video on your guys' favorite Foddian games in the future. See, these types of games aren't for everyone. Most people don't want to be forced to suffer at the hands of a game, only to rage and confront their failures in real time. And to be fair, I can't completely blame them. See, in life, the idea of failure has been drilled into our heads so hard as negative and the opposite of what we want. In school, we were forced to pursue perfection, believing that grades and poor performance could lead to humiliation from our peers, and in adulthood, this idea still resides in our brains. Think about it. When you're at your job, if you have one, the idea of not completing what is expected of you is a means to get rid of you as a whole. I think the human psyche has been molded into the idea of fearing failure, but really think about it. Why is failure something we must fear? Without failure, how do we learn? Without failure, do the things we complete even have a meaning to begin with? We learn from the ideas of Taoism that without one essential, the idea of the other ceases to exist in the first place. A great example of this is the idea that without darkness, the light that shines in its place would have no meaning. Without sadness, happiness would have no contrast. And most importantly, without failure, success is nothing. In Getting Over It, we are a man in a pot with a hammer to carry us on our journey. What is our quest in the story? To climb the mountain of the obscure and reach the stars with nothing to help us but our own determination. We learn from Foddy that this game is a tribute to Sexy Hiking, a similar game where you find yourself on a similar journey to the one we find ourselves on in this game. Foddy describes the journey to be embarked as an exploration of an imaginary mountain that only exists due to our own effort to climb it. In a sense, this aligns with reality, for our hardest goals to achieve are the ones that we give the greatest amount of effort to reach. Whether this be getting a promotion, getting straight A's in school, or hell, to be honest, it could be even something as simple as practicing better hygiene. These ideas of what we need to accomplish often seem so distant and practically impossible to climb as the metaphorical mountain that Foddy presents. Yet, our human nature inclines us to tread on and tread on and tread our way up the mountain ahead. We make our way to climb what seems to be random objects when we learn what is to come. Back to the start. We get up and we continue, and we make it a little farther and back to the start. This is how our journey will continue to be until it's completed. The act of failing and making it just a little farther each time we get up, over and over and over and over again. That which does not kill us makes us stronger. Nietzsche. The idea of growing from our shortcomings is not a new one. Paraphrasing some of the ideas spread by early Taoists that I mentioned earlier, failure is the means to an end, and ultimately, it is an opportunity for us to choose the outcome of. Our mistakes define us and allow our flaws to create our greatness. The man who earns his success through great effort and failure ultimately has gained more in the end than the man who had had it granted to him effortlessly. Foddy believes that there is no feeling more intense than starting over, for starting over is infinitely harder than starting up in the first place. Most modern stories follow this pattern. Think about any superhero movie you've watched. The hero has a moment where he has to recognize why he is a hero to begin with. He must start over from the beginning and find where his motivations stem from in the first place. In fiction, we call this the hero's journey, and honestly, it may be cliche, but it's recognizably human. We find ourselves in the same position all the time. Obviously, it's different than losing our superpowers or something of that nature, but we do question our motivations for what we do constantly. See, in life, we often start things with the expectation of them coming seamlessly, and at the first sign of resistance, we turn away. This something could be content creation, starting a new hobby, learning a skill, or even just being yourself. We all have something that we're trying to conquer, and there's beauty in the determination of it. We must not challenge our failures, for in life, failure is the first step towards the destiny of gratitude and success. The constant battle we have with ourselves, pushing ourselves harder and harder until eventually we build up so much pressure that our spirits flatten underneath it. The short story I wrote for the beginning of this video is what led me to make this in the first place. Why does it seem so wrong for us to accept the flaws within our own actions? The idea of learning from our mistakes has never been so foreign as a concept as it is today. You can ultimately be crucified for even having a wrong opinion or being misinformed on the slightest minute details. Our greatest battles are presented as an opposition to our beliefs or some foreign entity bestowing our downfall upon us, when in reality, trying to destroy this problem we have points the gun back at ourselves. The beauty of failing is the ability to look inside and assess why it happened, and learning is what makes us human. And for every time we teach someone their mistakes, we grill someone else for theirs, when in reality we are all flawed in our own failures, forcing us to be afraid to make them in the first place. Eventually making our way to the top, Foddy tells us that there's nowhere to go but up, allowing ourselves to experience what he had laid out for us in this experience. He now symbolically reveals that if we can put up with this level of failure and frustration, the only place to go is up. Baby Steps is a game about a man named Nate. He's a 35-year-old socially awkward person who is almost comedically imperfect. This journey starts with Nate being a couch potato when he gets teleported into a magical land where he realizes his ability to walk has been reverted back into baby steps. The entirety of this game, I believe, is a metaphor for personal growth when feeling behind in life. I'm sure we've all felt this way at some point. It seems to feel that way has become exceptionally easier now with social media, seeing 16-year-old millionaires driving luxury cars while some of our closest peers live paycheck to paycheck. In Baby Steps, we face this in the literal and figurative sense. Nate feels though as he has wasted his own life doing nothing, being behind in the figurative sense, and being behind literally in his inability to climb like the others he meets on his way up the mountain. As shown in the opening story, our ego often limits how we face our failures. Throughout the entire game, Nate's ego and self-consciousness doesn't allow him to accept help from others, making his journey to the top of the mountain infinitely more difficult. I think Foddy's idea of the mountain represents Nate's ability to be better in terms of his own ego and self-appreciation. The goal of baby steps isn't for Nate to become perfect. The goal is for Nate to accept himself as a person and strive to become better through his shortcomings. The best example of this idea in the game is represented through the choice of choosing the easy to climb stairs or the man breaker, an insanely difficult challenge the game presents you with if you so choose to be prideful and make real Nate's ego within your own playstyle. Often in life, we feel as if accepting help from others makes us weak, as if just taking advice from others makes us less than. This is especially present in males today. I know many, and I'm assuming that you know many people who would rather suffer than accept the help that they need from others, just from the assumption that it would make them look weaker. In a sense, I feel like this game makes us question how much of the challenge is actually the climb, and how much of it is your own ego. After reaching the end of the game, Nate reaches the top of the mountain. His ego finally fades for a moment, and he accepts help. Through his journey, he has learned humility. However, this game still shows us that we aren't perfect. It reinforced the idea that he never gave up on himself. The game expresses the idea that growth isn't a leap into the void. It's a series of humiliating, frustrating, fragile steps, and the only way forward is to keep taking them.
What's up, guys? It's me, Dawson. This is gonna be my little face reveal thing, just so I don't have to do it in the future. But I just want to say thanks for watching the video. If you like this video and you want to see more of my content in the future, make sure to like and subscribe. If you have any video ideas that you'd want to see in the future, make sure to leave a comment down below, and I'll get to them. I'll reply, and I'll try to do the ones that I can that would make good videos or whatever. And if you think that a friend would enjoy this video, I'd greatly appreciate it if you'd share it to a friend. I mean, why would you withhold your friend from good content? I mean, I think I make good content, and if you're watching this far, I think that you think I make good content. So share it to them, because your friend needs to watch good content. Anyways, guys, that's about it for me. I genuinely thank you for watching if you made it to this part of the video, and hope I see you in the next one. Love y'all.